Hi guys, welcome back. So welcome to our selection meeting. I'm joined once again by Tim from Eggchasers. Hi Tim, how you doing?
I'm serious business ahead of us, Rich. I'm good.
Absolutely. I mean, somehow Steve Borthwick has given us the job of selecting the England team versus Scotland. Not sure how that happened. And in part one, go to Eggchasers and check out part one. We have managed to thrash out the forwards and the forward replacements. You can see them on the bottom of the screen there. We did pretty well, pretty easy going on the front five, and then it really got bogged down in the back row and on the bench. So let's see how it goes at selecting the backs. Now I'm going to play the role of the backs coach just in case we have a deadlock, but we kind of managed to thrash it out in the forward. So we'll see if we can keep that sort of congeniality going here. So scrum half, we have Mitchell, Van Poortvliet, and Ben Youngs once again. Now, does anyone jump off the page as they have to start him?
I think they do, and
really?
I think you're going to agree. But I will just say to caveat this. Excuse me. You don't get 120 odd caps unless you're very, very good. So some of the criticism that's thrown Ben Youngs' way is harsh, and he was outstanding for Leicester against Claremont. He was brilliant. Jack Van Poortvliet controls the game really well. His box kicking is probably better than any other English nine, and that's really important at international level. But give me Alex Mitchell. Get him on that field.
Yeah, it's such a tricky... with Ben Youngs, it's not that he's a bad player, is it? He's a really good player, and he's starting over Van Poortvliet. It's just, once again, like I mentioned in the first video, I was watching videos of Ben Youngs playing in his early days, and he was just better, basically, because he's younger and quicker. Mitchell's got that zip. He's got the form. You probably wouldn't play him for the whole game, potentially. So I'm very happy to start Mitchell. And then the question, I think, is who comes on? Interrupting selection just for a second to let you know that the Guinness Pint Predictor game is back for the Six Nations. Download FanZoo, put the code ANALYST in, join my league completely for free, compete against your friends, against me, make sure you beat me. Last time I think I was third out of 270, that can't happen again. It's great fun, and if you even get a close prediction, you win a pint of Guinness. Soft drinks are available in some locations. It's over 18s only. Please drink very responsibly. It's great fun though. Download the app FanZoo, put in the code ANALYST, join my league for the Six Nations and get predicting those games. Do you have a similarly strong view on that?
Not a similarly strong view, no. But I would probably... I think it's great that Ben Youngs is around. And he's got a lot of experience that he can share. And if he's pulled on an England shirt, he will do his utmost. And if he's playing against Australia, he will look like a world-class nine every single time, which is no bad thing for a World Cup quarter-final. Let's not forget. I've got some Australian friends, and they think Ben Youngs is like one of the best nines ever, because every time he plays them, he's incredible. But I would probably go JVP.
Yeah, I think so. I think you go for the youngsters. I think they've got the energy. They need game time. A lot of this England team is we don't know until we see them play. And until you select them, then you just don't know. So yeah, I think Mitchell, Van Poortvliet, will go with that. Nice and easy. Well, not easy, but we've done it. On to fly halves. This is going to be tricky potentially. Owen Farrell is the captain, so he has to play somewhere, Tim. So he has to start.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I see. I think Steve Borthwick is the kind of guy who wouldn't he wouldn't not pick Owen Farrell purely because he's named him as his captain. Wow. I think he's big enough to make that call.
I mean, yes, but in your first game, you've just named him as captain, and you're not going to start him in your first ever game. I mean, that is a slap in the face, is it not?
I'd like to think Steve Borthwick could manage that if he felt it was the right thing to do for the team.
Okay, and I think because we're acting on the behalf of Steve Borthwick, then we'll bear that in mind. So bearing that in mind, who would you start at fly half?
Oh, I'd start Owen Farrell every time, Rich.
Fine.
Not a question. It was just that you were saying it's easy because he's named him captain, therefore he's going to be starting. I think he'll be starting because he is England's best fly half, and I want him starting.
Well, he's the best fly half playing in the English Premiership, but is he England's best fly half? Probably, but he hasn't been playing there, so we'll find out, I guess. I mean, that's what I want to.
Would you? Because if you rewind a year or 2 years, we'll have had this argument. We have to see Marcus Smith playing for England. We have to, and I get that because he was so good. But it is interesting to see how the narrative has shifted a little bit, and there's more and more rugby fans recognizing how good Owen Farrell is at 10. It's quite an interesting little shift going on.
Yeah, and if he plays 10 for England and plays as he does for Saracens, then I think that will build. Essentially, I believe he's been a 10 playing 12 and doing fairly well. But anyway, Owen Farrell starting fly half, and is it very easy that we say Marcus Smith goes on the bench?
Correct, surely, Rich. Yeah, you reckon? Yeah,
of course. I mean, Finn Smith's a good player, and I think he'll learn an awful lot training, and hopefully he will get some minutes somewhere.
Just a quick one, Rich. If George Ford were, because I've got a feeling George Ford is going to play at the end of the month against Bath,
right,
for Sale. If he's back and if he were a few weeks further ahead and he were in the England squad, where would you stand then? Just a quick hypothetical on the 10 situation.
Well, and Marcus Smith is still there.
Yeah.
No, I'd keep it the same. I'd keep Farrell and Marcus Smith. I think we haven't seen maybe the absolute finished article for Marcus Smith in an England shirt, but you saw when he came back for Harlequins in his first game what he can do. And I think neither Farrell or George Ford could have done some of the things that he did in a Harlequin shirt. And if he can recreate that for England, then that's a special player.
Oh, no question.
So anyway, okay. So Farrell fly half, Marcus Smith on the bench. Good stuff. So we've only got one bench spot left. Centres. Now it gets hard. Who plays 12 for England? Now we've taken Farrell up already, so it's not him. Slade could play there potentially, but I think it's between Tuolangi and Kelly, is it not?
You're right. You're right to point out the Slade can play there. It was 2021 against South Africa. There was an early injury to Tuolangi, and for the majority of the game, it was Slade and Marchant, and with Smith inside as well. And it actually worked quite well. And Slade has massively improved his carrying and his defensive stuff over recent years. So you're right to say he can. Dan Kelly, though, and I'm not just doing it because he's young. I'm doing it because I think actually you will bring the very best out of Owen Farrell. It's a very Brad Barrett kind of character, and I think you'll get the best out of Owen Farrell and the best defensively for England with Dan Kelly at 12.
Well, he's a Brad Barrett kind of character who can pass. He's got a very nice pass off both hands with range. Barrett was a hell of a player, but big, long, lovely looking passes probably wasn't his thing. And again, it's a bit like Mitchell Van Poortvliet. We don't know till we see him. So I think now's the time. Yeah,
I'm kind of with you. I think Manu Tuolangi I understand the temptation because he's such a unique character, but I think he should feel. Well, no, I say he should feel slightly lucky, but this is what exactly as you sort of hinted at earlier. This is why Owen Farrell has played 12 for so long, is because the options there just aren't the options.
Well,
or there hasn't been the options.
The useful thing with Tuolangi though is they have been playing him at 12. Rather than a 13 who could play 12. So I think he's maybe more of a genuine option at 12 than he has been in the past. But you've also got to bear in mind, is he going to last a game? How long he's going to last? Which then affects what you do on the bench. So I just think Kelly makes logical sense as well as just wanting to see him play as well. Now, if Kelly's at 12, all three of those could play at 13. So do we discount Tuolangi because he plays at 12 now?
No, I don't discount him for that reason. I discount him because he's not as good as the other two.
Okay, that's a nice simple one. Marchant is a hell of a player, hell of a talent. But if it's just a grindy, kicky game, is it a bit of a waste having his talent there at 13? Do you want Slade, who maybe is a bit more of a controller?
I love Joe Marchant, and I think I might have said on the last video that's the biggest upset out of the whole Eddie Jones era is the fact that next season Joe Marchant is going to France because he was edged out, and I just don't understand why he hasn't been a consistent part of the England squad because he is so good. I love him. I love Henry Slade as well. So I'm totally easy on either. I think Six Nations being tight affairs and Six Nations game management and territory can have such a bearing on games. And if we win 3-0, I'll be delighted. And on that basis, I would probably go with Henry Slade as just the all-rounder, the left foot to Farrell's right foot, and a classy operator.
It almost feels painful leaving out Marchant, doesn't it? He's that good. I mean, Marchant could be a very good bench option. That's worth bearing in mind because he can play on the wing as well. Has played on the wing a fair bit for Quins. He's got skills on him. But okay, Kelly and Slade are our centres. Okay, so back three then. Is Stewart nailed on at 15? No questions asked.
I think he probably is. Do you have? Because I think he's absolutely outstanding, and I'd much rather celebrate what makes someone great rather than pick on the bits of their game that aren't there. And Freddie Stewart is the best in the world at what he's really good at. But do you think he's got some areas he needs to step up a little bit, maybe defensively?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's early. It's very early days, isn't it? He's very young. He can miss a tackle occasionally, but all the weapons are there. He's got the tools. He's got the ability. He's got the talent. And if you put enough speed around him, it maybe just makes up for just a lack of top end speed. But yeah, no, I think absolutely. I think he's the man. Take him forward. Daly, you could play Daly at 15, I guess. He's been playing well. I think he's probably the other option. I mean, Freeman's been playing 15, but he's inexperienced. Yeah. Malins can play 15.
Yeah, just on Elliot Daly, what a great redemption story that is, because you only have to think back a few years, and I'm sure I was as guilty of this as anyone, and maybe it was justified then, but he was almost at times a one-man scapegoat for any of England's failings, wasn't he?
Yeah, the thing with Daly is he's a fantastic player, and at club level, he's kind of always tore it up. And at times he's absolutely tore it up at international level as well, and with the Lions. It's just occasionally when he does make an error, it's one of those ones where in the past you've kind of gone, "Oh, come on, you got to make that tackle," or "Come on, what are you doing?" So I think when he's made the errors, they're the ones that stick in your mind. I think that's been his issue. So there's no doubting what he can do. It's just, has he got that error in the locker? That is the worry in the back of the mind, I guess.
Yeah. I suppose just thinking about Daly as well, he could have come into the conversation as a 13 as well. But
yeah.
But I'm quite happy with where we are currently.
Okay, so Stewart is 15. Now we've got to pick our two wingers, and this is hard because you could take any of those five, including Daly. Malins has been playing on the wing a lot as well. Is there anyone that stands out? Because for me, I'm not sure there is an absolute nailed-on starter there.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely on the money with what you say. I want Ollie Hassel-Collins to start because I think Caden Murley's got a lot of upside, and it seems like he keeps exceeding expectations and has done for a couple of years and just keeps getting better and better. He's absolutely brilliant. Ollie Hassel-Collins just has the look and the feel of an elite level player, an international level player, someone who, when you have fewer opportunities and less space, he's the best finisher in England. He's currently the best finisher.
Yeah, the fact he can bump people off as well as go round them. I think that adds the extra mile there. I mean, he's one of these players like Mitchell, Van Portfleet, Kelly. You don't know till you've tried. There's so many unknowns in this England team. It's going to be edge of the seat stuff. But I think Hassel-Collins starts on one wing. I'm completely with you there. Then you could go another big man on the other side and go Freeman, or you could go for the pace of Murley or Daly. Mate, I would actually discount Malins. I'm not sure he's quite got the pace at the international level. When I saw him, and he really impressed me, he was actually playing 10. Back in his early days, he was playing 10, and he was a really exciting 10. then he can't, it's like, then he went to 15, and is he quite big enough, quick enough? And then the wing's the same question. So I think he's kind of stuck in this utility role potentially at international level.
Yeah, see Alex Lazowski for another case of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost too good for their own good.
Yeah, too versatile. So I'm discounting him. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that, which leaves us with Daly, Freeman, Murley.
On form, I think Daly's the man.
I am in agreement with you on this, Rich. I was thinking I might have to fight for Elliot Daly, but yeah, he is arguably the best English player in the Premiership. He's got international class, and I just think he's earned that starting spot.
Yeah,
and I think he would be the best option for England against Scotland.
That last game he played, I think, pushed him over the edge, didn't it? I think form is what we're picking on here. So I think Daly starts on one of the wings, and that changes things. I think that puts us saying we should have either Marchant or Freeman on the bench. But what do you think?
Do you think? Because because I think we do have flexibility here, because with Daly at wing, if Freddie Stewart goes down, you've no worries about shifting Elliot Daly across and bringing Caden
so you
Murley
think the most
on,
likely position to cover would be the wing?
Daly could cover the 13 slot, but I do understand your point. I'm just saying, if you really felt strongly about Caden Murley, I think there's no harm in putting him on the bench, because you have got the versatility of Elliot Daly.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
Can cover the 13 and fullback.
If we have Marchant on the bench, then maybe we're overkilling the 13 cover there. Yeah,
well, potentially, but then I love Joe Marchant. So it's kind of would Joe Marchant be a slightly conservative selection, because you've already got Daly there who could play 13, and you're not going for the best winger available as a finisher.
The slight issue I don't know. Yeah, the slight issue as well is on the bench you have a specialist 9, and then Marcus Smith's a specialist 10. So your sub, you could do with your sub covering more than one position, and Caden Murley probably doesn't. So
I think you're probably right. So
I'm kind of putting my sensible hat. Well, yes, but he hasn't shown it in an international shirt yet. He's a little bit of a risk potentially.
I do like him. He
is blooming good for Northampton. He's very good,
and he's just I've been talking about this recently. Is long term beyond the World Cup. I think Tommy Freeman as a 12 is potential. He's got that kind of a Gael Fickou kind of feel about him. He's a big guy, brilliant hands, great footwork, and I think you could probably chuck Tommy Freeman in any shirt in the back line outside 9, and he'd probably do a decent job for you. So I've got a lot of time for him. I'd be very happy with him in the 23 jersey.
Okay, so we've left a few out there, but let's take Tommy Freeman on the bench. We are taking a bit of a punt on quite a few players here, players we haven't seen perform at the top level for England. But I think
just run through those 7 names again.
Oh, I didn't write. Okay, so we've got Mitchell starting, Farrell at 10. So Mitchell 9, Farrell at 10, Ellie 12, Slade 13, Daly on one wing,
Daly on the left wing,
Hassel Collins on the other wing, and Stewart at fullback.
That is young, isn't it?
You got Slade, you got Farrell and Slade, kind of nicely positioned in there. You got Daly.
Yeah, you got Farrell and Slade in between Mitchell, Kelly, Hassel Collins. That's
kind of spread out.
And Daly there, and Stewart's, an experienced international now. So I think I like the look of that back line. Yeah,
but it's whether they perform on the day. That's the thing. We don't have the evidence yet. So anyway, are we happy? Are we concluded here, Tim?
I think we are. When I look at that back line on paper, the one thing I'm going to predict that Steve Borthwick won't do is start Mitchell at 9.
No, that'll be a long shot, wouldn't it?
But I think he might actually pick the rest of that back line. Genuinely, I think the other 6.
Okay,
it could be what turns out against Scotland. I'm very happy.
Well, get that fax machine warmed up, Tim. Get the team sheet sent over to him, and let's see what happens, huh?
Top man, Rich.
Awesome. Right. Thank you very much, Tim. All those comments below, guys. Tell us how badly or well we did on this team. Put your teams below, and we'll see you next time.